Hello and welcome to Honest Car Reviews, and this is the new Volkswagen Golf Mk8. It is the most important car for Volkswagen, and this is the first edition. It is the mild hybrid engine, and Volkswagen thinks that this car will be the top dog in the mild hybrid small car segment. And in this review I'm going to find out if that's the case or if you should choose a different Golf Mk8. And we'll start with the exterior and compare it with the Mk7, because it is more of an evolution than a revolution. It is very similar. However, there have been some restyling in the front and in the rear, especially the front and rear lights. This is the rear with the new Golf font and the eTSI. So this is the mild hybrid engine. So it's a 48-volt system, but it has the same power as the 1.5 non-hybrid engine. So it's 150 horsepower, 250 Newton meters. And we'll talk and compare more about these two engines later, because there are some important things to note. It is classic Golf, nothing unique. It is something that I believe that the Mk7 owners could see themselves buying, because it's nothing vulgar, it's nothing unordinary. But I don't know if you can see here, but this is the lower part of the door, and it is really uneven. And this is because there's some filler or body filler to reduce the risk of corrosion and rust. However, it looks so bad, it looks really ugly, and it looks like it's not properly done, and that's very common with VAG products. I'll talk a bit about the rear compartment, and you open it up the classic Volkswagen way. Some luggage to show you how spacious it actually is in the rear, because yesterday I had my friends on a boat trip and I used this car to transport 5 people and all of their luggage, but it just shows you that it worked completely fine. It swallows a lot. However, this amount of rear luggage space comes at a cost, and that is the rear foot space, because to fit 3 people in the rear and 2 people in front, the front people have to move their seats forward a bit. So having to drive with people in the back, and especially me that is a bit taller, I had to move my seat unnecessarily close to the steering wheel. And the Volkswagen logo here, you can actually feel the lettering. And this is the front interior, and actually this is where the most work has been done to the new Golf. And sitting in and directly comparing it with the Mk7, it is difficult to find if it's better or worse or just similar, but in a different way. This is more futuristic, but is it better? I don't know. It's a different take on how a cockpit should be. It's more digitalized, more simplistic. However, I have to give an applause to Volkswagen, because with this simplistic little lever for your gear selection, they've opened up a lot of space in the center console here, and you have wireless charging, and you can use your phone to be used as a car key instead of the new updated car key, which actually looks quite nice. It is heavy, it is thick, it's really comfortable to have in your hands. But to start the car with your mobile phone, you have to download an app, and then you have to pair it with the car. The car is now started, and you can see the new fully digitalized cockpit that Volkswagen has been talking a lot about. So I'll talk a bit more about how Volkswagen has simplified everything. And by looking to the left side here, you have controls for your lights, so it is on automatic mode. So by pressing it, you have half light, you have parking lights, and you can cancel or shut down the lights, but I have it in auto. And here you have, very logically, I have to admire Volkswagen's layout. You have the controls for heating the front and rear windows. the fog lights and things like that. And here in the middle you have your vehicle modes to go from Eco, Comfort, Sport and Individual, and parking menu to... This is the layout you have when you're starting to reverse and do your parking things. So you have front and rear parking sensors. No reverse camera though, which I actually wanted to have as a standard, but it is what it is. And it is fitted with parking assist to help you park. So that's really neat. Also have your climate controls. Really simple to just press into climate. So you can slide to increase the temperature, but you can also press it. Really nice and simple. I'll start driving the car and I'll talk a bit more about the engines and the consumption, how it feels to drive, and just the general sense of it all. With the mild hybrid engine, the help from the electric engine really helps you get out of tight spots. It helps you accelerate with the instant torque. However, comparing it with the standard 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, which this car is in essence based upon, the standard non-hybrid engine has a lower fuel consumption, 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers, compared to this one, which has 5.7 liters per 100 kilometers. So this is more expensive to own because of the higher buy-in price, but it's also more expensive to own when you're driving and things like that. Driving on the highway, I have averaged around 4 liters per 100 kilometers, and it's really impressive. On the flip side though, in the city and in more congested areas, the car has been really thirsty, so I've averaged more about in between 7 and 8 liters per 100 kilometers. So I'm driving on some more twisty roads, and I'm actually quite glad to say that this car is quite neutral to drive, because the rear tires slip a bit, so the car isn't as understeery as I thought it would be, especially with the mild hybrid system and the batteries and the electric engine and things like that. So it is actually quite fun to drive, and with the hybrid system it's a bit peppier, and the 250 Newton meters of torque with the instant delivery is really nice to have. And you can also select the sport mode, and the dampers firm up and the steering is a bit firmer. And yeah, you don't buy it because it's a sports car, but it's a bit on the fun side to drive if you wanted to. Going back and going from sporty to more on normal side and more on a commuting look of the new Golf Mk8. When I picked the car up, I immediately noticed there is some sounds going on in the cabin, and some of the sounds I could locate to the side door panels, especially in the rear on the right side, and they were really annoying. And then some sounds from the center console came up. With the new digitalized cockpit and the new digitalization of Volkswagen, they fitted the car with some really interesting tech, which is that this car can relay data and getting data from other cars to create some sort of Google Maps. So if there's has been a car crash about 2 kilometers in front of you and the cars are slowing down, they will relay data that there's reduced speed, which means that the car that you're driving will figure out, maybe it's more efficient to take another way, so the GPS will set another route, which is really neat stuff. However, it means that right now there aren't that many cars on their own that have this system, and because it is its own system and not every car manufacturer uses this system, there will be a problem of standardization. Further, the car is fitted with active cruise control, but this is on a completely different level. It will read speed signs, but it will also read the road. So if there's a curve ahead, the car will reduce its speed. And it is of course camera based, but it's also GPS based. So there's been information laid into the GPS system that here there will be 100 kilometers or 70 kilometers or things like that. which has become a huge problem because I've had this car for almost a week, and firstly, the car has crashed 3 times. Secondly, the system is not trustworthy. It is in many ways dangerous because I have driven this car on the highway at 100 kilometers an hour. It suddenly thinks that the speed limit is 70, so it violently brakes or slows down to 70 on the highway without me doing anything. And on the other side, I can be doing 70 and suddenly the car thinks that I should be doing 110 while the speed limit is 70. So the car accelerates into not only illegal speeds, but speeds that will make me lose my license. That's not a good system. And thirdly, when I'm passing a exit ramp which has a different speed, it registers that exit ramp speeds and slows it down because it's a corner coming and things like that. Because it's GPS based, and if you're driving into a tunnel and there's roads above the tunnels, the car or the system will of course think that you're on those roads, not in the tunnel, because in a tunnel you lose connections, you lose service, which means that if the speed limit on the roads above the tunnels are slower than the speed that is in the tunnel, the car will of course decelerate there as well. There's so many things that are actually wrong with this system. I have lost count of how many times this car has just changed its speed without me doing anything. It's a dangerous system that is not finally developed, and it shouldn't be on the road as of now. Continuing on with some things that I've noticed that aren't up to par with a new Golf, it is the transmission, because this is a 7-speed DSG automatic transmission, which I have driven the GTI, the R models with the DSG gearbox. It is fast, it's efficient, it is a blast to use. But in this Golf, it is slow, it doesn't know which gear it should be in when I want to accelerate. It doesn't drop gears as fast as it should. It's just inefficient sometimes. Finalizing the car and how it feels. The Golf 8 is the new, more smarter cousin of the Golf Mk8. Which engine to choose with these available options? It is the standard 150 horsepower engine because it uses less fuel. It has a lower buy-in price because the hybrid car that I'm driving now costs just under 30,000 euros. The standard 150 horsepower engine costs just around 27,000 euros, and it uses less fuel. So I don't see why people should choose this car. The new full hybrid engine and the GTE model is the hybrid engines that you should choose for the new Golf, not this one. But I can see why people would choose this car because it's more adapted to you. It is supposed to be less of a hassle to drive with the automatic braking and acceleration and registration of new speeds, but it's not fully developed. It is not ready for the mass market. And some of the child problems which comes with a new model and a new car, such as the sounds from the interior with some vibrations, need to be fixed for me to say that you should choose the Mk8 compared to the Mk7, because the Mk7 was such a good car from the beginning, but it was of course starting to show its age, and Volkswagen wanted to have a new platform and a new car to show the new hybrid technology. This car is now upgradable, and I believe that the problems that I have had, especially with these cruise control, can be solved just with a software update. So Volkswagen knows what they're doing, and if they are adamant of having the best car for their customers, they should upgrade the car, and I think they will. And then you will have a really good Golf on your hands. My name is Eric, and this is my review of the Volkswagen Golf Mk8.